Lawmakers now say the Tsarnaev brothers were trained before the attack. Here's Congressman Michael McCall, the chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee. Watch this.
I think given the level of sophistication of this device, the fact that the pressure cooker is a signature device that goes back to Pakistan, Afghanistan, leads me to believe, and the way they handle these devices and the tradecraft leads me to believe that there was a trainer. And the question is, is that trainer or trainers?
Okay.
Are they overseas?
Who's the trainer? Now, this is remember, this guy is a Republican. Now, let me give you the ranking Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee. Also revealing that the FBI is investigating persons of interest here inside the United States.
Do you know of any other people here in the United States who might have been part of this process of radicalizing Tamerlan?
This is part of the investigation. It's a domestic investigation, and it's an international investigation. And we're really good at this. The FBI is very good with that, working with our other agencies. There are persons of interest in the United States.
I wonder. Let me give you another Democrat. This is a Democrat representative in the House, on the House Intelligence Committee. He said he believed the Russians know more than they are telling us now.
But at the same time, if they were up on this, on the mother or on someone related to the mother and listening, there's got to be a basis for why they went up on her electronically or why they went up on one of her affiliates or associates. We don't know that. We haven't received that information from the Russians. I think they know more than they're telling us.
Okay. Now, here's what's of particular interest. The fact that the Russian authorities recorded a conversation between Tamerlan and Tsarnaev and his mother back in 2011. They're talking about jihad together. And there's a second call that was recorded between the suspect's mother and an unnamed man under FBI investigation living in southern Russia. The Russians just provided this information to the United States over the weekend. So why were the Russians recording the phone call in the first place? What do they know? Well, again, there's no answer yet. That seems to be the theme around many of the stories today. There are more questions than answers, but there's something different because it used to always take time, but there was something else that we used to also have, and that was trust for our own government. Trust that eventually we would get to the meeting. Trust that there were people actually trying to do the right thing. The issue of the Miranda rights has caused all kinds of disagreement in the Boston Marathon attack investigation, and here's where I stand. If you're not a citizen, sorry, dude. If you are a citizen, you need to be granted those rights no matter how big of a dirtbag you may be. It only counts when we uphold the rights of the people we really don't want to give rights to. That's when it's important. But there is controversy surrounding how the surviving suspect was Mirandized. A federal judge, her name is Marianne Bowler, she decided to go it alone. She went down to the hospital and she rushed down there to set up a makeshift proceeding and read the suspect his rights. It's like 16 hours into it. That's important to remember. According to House Intelligence Committee Chair Mike Rogers, the FBI was, quote, not happy about it because, quote, they believed they needed more time. This is not a good way to stop another bomb from going off. The FBI reportedly was blindsided and stunned when the judge showed up. Tsarnaev was providing valuable intelligence information and then suddenly stopped after his rights were read by this particular judge. The FBI believes valuable information now has been lost due to the actions of this judge. So who is this judge? Who is the judge? Well, the Supreme Court held that a criminal, a suspect, has to be brought before the judicial officer within 48 hours. You got 48 hours. The suspect has to be read their rights, no matter what, at 48 hours. I believe he should be Mirandized right away. But others argue that the FBI should have been allowed the full 48 hours under the law. Okay, we can go back and forth on that one all day. Are you going to get to the next bomb if there is a bomb? Okay, debate goes on, and everybody's focused on this debate. But nobody is looking at this judge. Whether or not, is this legal? Yeah. Their timing is very interesting. We reached out to Judicial Watch. We asked them, how common is it for a judge to insert themselves into a case like this? Here's what they told us in a statement just this afternoon. What's unusual is the reported surprise of the FBI and the other officials at the turn of events. It looks as if the DOJ went around the FBI. The DOJ reportedly coordinated with everyone but the FBI. So in other words, Eric Holder went and coordinated with this judge, but nobody else. Now that seems strange for the chief law enforcement officer, doesn't it? Arraignments and other court proceedings do sometimes take place in hospitals. Once charged by justice in federal court, it was a matter of time before he would have been read his rights. Don't blame the judges, blame the Justice Department. Okay. Well, now let's look at this here for a second, because I've got another theory. If you go by Judicial Watch, this is the decision of Eric Holder. But I again think we should ask, who is this judge? Well, we started today just by going over her resume, and it's fairly normal, except for one part of her resume, a strange string of facts. One of her hobbies and interests include traveling overseas to Muslim countries for speaking engagements all the time. She was the first female judge to speak in Kuwait. She also appeared at the United Arab Emirates. And let me put aside here for a second another big piece. She also visited the U.S. Embassy in Belgrade. But besides that one, all of her international trips, she goes to Muslim countries to speak to them. And here's the last piece of this. She made a trip to Egypt last year. Now, this according to the U.S. Embassy in Cairo. She was there for a conference on cross-border financial investigations organized by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Homeland Security investigations in cooperation with the Egyptian judicial and law enforcement authorities. Okay. So the Department of Homeland Security picks her to go because she keeps going over to the Middle East. They pick her to go and be a part of this. But that's not the only reason why she was there. She also was to meet with the defense team and observe the trial of the 6 NGOs accused of receiving foreign funding and operating illegally in the country. Do you remember this? We talked about how strange this was during the Arab Spring. All these kids from both the Republicans and the Democrats, they were all there, and they were accused of funding street protests during the heat of the Arab Spring. Everybody was chanting for democracy, and the radical leftists rushed to Egypt to help, and so did all of these kids, and they were scooped up and they were held. And then all of a sudden they were just released. Yet that's one of the reasons why that judge was there. What is it about this judge and her particular interest in the Muslim countries? What is happening here? Is this just a coincidence? Maybe. Very well, maybe. Why is she so eager to defend those who are fueling the riots? Oh, probably because she's in good graces with this administration. And those weren't riots. Those were freedom fighters to help the rise of the Muslim Brotherhood. We'll continue to seek answers on all of the questions in the stories, but like I said, only more questions are coming, not more answers.